What are you doing here?
A few years ago, I said that Cassandra Naud's performance as CW in the film Influencer was the best villain of 2022 and truly one of the best performances as a killer that we've seen in such a long time. For once, the film wasn't trying to play up the sympathy for this villain. They weren't trying to make him into an anti-hero. This was somebody who was devout in their conviction of the people that they were targeting, what they were doing, and what they were ultimately after. And Cassandra Naud blew that out of the water, making CW one of the best new characters and new villains that we had had in quite some time. Now in the hotly anticipated sequel Influencers, Cassandra Naud is back once again as CW. Does the performance hold up the same way it did 4 years ago? Find out tonight in Movie Reviews. Everybody, welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. Tonight in Movie Reviews, we're taking a look at a hotly anticipated sequel, at least for myself, for one of the best performances that we've seen in the last 5 years. Tonight in Movie Reviews, we are talking Influencers. Now, before we jump on into that, make sure you hit the follow button, hit that subscribe button. Got a lot of great horror content on the channel right now. A lot of really good stuff coming up that I do not want y'all to miss out on at all. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're not missing anything. But let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right on into things here. If you have not seen the trailer for Influencers, CW is back and is living in France with a new partner, Diane. But she finds her life upended when a vain influencer named Charlotte steals their luxury hotel room for a promo of her own. Annoyed, CW returns to her old ways and kills Charlotte, assuming her digital identity, taking over her life. When her partner Diane discovers the truth, CW is forced to flee to Bali, where she finds out that the only survivor of her crimes, Madison, continues her quest to find CW and exonerate herself from her crimes. And there it is, y'all. That is Influencers. Now, here's the thing. That first film was very, very much your straightforward serial killer film. Now, we start the first chunk of that movie not really knowing what to expect, and it turns out we're following the killer CW with her first victim, at least in that film, Madison, and we get to see ultimately what we think is Madison being killed at the beginning of that film. But then the film switches up gears here, and we follow CW with her new target and trying to basically weave her way into this target's life with her friends, all of that. Great movie, disturbing, it's bloody, it is violent, but it's really, really good. And again, it all hinges on Cassandra Naud's performance in that film. She is truly transcendent as CW in that her performance alone is enough to keep you invested in it, but thankfully it is also a really good movie as well. The sequel, it's hard to have known like where to go with it in my opinion, because you could go and do the exact same thing we did in the first film, which is watching CW go around and hunt down more influencers and just do the same thing over. That likely could have worked here. I wouldn't have been mad at it, but I am so glad that Curtis David Harder decided that he wasn't going to go the simple route and wanted to actually elevate and do something completely different. A lot of times when these movies about killers are focused on the killer themselves, like think Don't Breathe as an example, I find that it's hard to really get a good sequel made for it because the temptation is always there to make your killer the good guy, to make them the anti-hero. I think that's boring as hell. We liked them in the first place because of how depraved, how devious, how evil that they ultimately were. So turning them into a good guy, especially if they've done some heinous shit that they can't be redeemed for, do not find that interesting. It was the biggest issue that I have with Don't Breathe 2, that there should be no way at all that we are finding Stephen Lang's character to be an honorable good man at all. We saw the first film, we saw what he was trying to do to Jane Levy in that movie. We're not turning this around and saying suddenly, you know what, you're a decent guy. That's not happening in this case. And I like, again, that writer-director Curtis David Harder does not allow that to happen. He wants you to see that, yeah, CW can have some peace. CW can very much find love in a relationship and everything. That doesn't just make CW a good person. We are not here to just forget CW's faults, her murderous faults at that. So I love that Harder is able to keep that trajectory here with her CW, because that keeps her being such an interesting villain, and it keeps us loving knowing that she's going to get back to what we truly know her for. So the first chunk of this film plays like a romance film, like it honestly does. We get to see CW and Diane just enjoying each other's company, their relationship, their love that they have. CW is not worried about killing people and taking over their life. She is devoted. She is in this relationship ready to go. And what happens? They get around another influencer, and immediately it's like the hair on the back of CW's neck just begins to stand up. Something is immediately wrong at that point, and it brings it to the forefront here, the issue with influencer culture, that a lot of times we pour so much into these people who are the rudest people. They don't consider anybody else. They have no manners. They don't believe in a real kind of life. Everything is online, and we kind of see that here with Charlotte, who CW and Diane encounter, to where Charlotte's not vain or necessarily vapid like a lot of the other influencers that we've seen in the first film or just in life in general. But when you're dealing with somebody who's a recovering serial killer who doesn't need those triggers out there, it is only going to take a little bit to really get into it. And again, that perceived wrong that CW and Diane lose their room to Charlotte is enough really to push her back into her old ways, kill her, and get back into things. And I like the fact that there's not really any time for CW to rest. Like, we see that by her breaking her pattern, by breaking what she's been doing with Diane, it immediately changes CW's behavior. It immediately changes CW's routine. Diane is very much aware and attuned into that because she truly does love CW, and that unfortunately leads her to discovery of who she ultimately is. And this is really where the movie does get started, because before it's almost like an in-between story. Like, Harder went and made like a short film to show us like what CW has been up to in the meantime before she got back to her old ways. And then it happens and we're heartbroken. And that's what makes it so strong and such a great opening, a great beginning here for this film. The fact that we really do get sucked in to CW's romance. And no, we don't want CW really to luck out at the end of the day here, but we're still rooting for her ultimately. It's damn good writing in that case. Whereas the rest of the movie, the second half, if you want to call that, takes us back to what we were enjoying about that first influencer film. And the fact that CW, she's not really on the run here. She's back overseas and starting up again. Not really. She's like laying undercover because she knows that Madison is alive and after her and trying to track her down. And so it's a big cat and mouse game between the two of them, ultimately trying to pin what's happened in their past on each other. We know Madison is innocent. We know that Madison didn't do any of these murders and that she might be a little off the deep end now due to the experiences that she went through. But at the same time, she is the good guy here. She is the person that's in the right. And CW is again just trying to cover herself up and push everything onto Madison so she can go ahead and try to regain some resemblance of life here. Because everything was broken up. Everything was taken away here by her making just one mistake. It's a big mistake, but that one mistake takes everything away from CW and this nice life that she set up. I really enjoyed the cat and mouse game between Madison and CW. Emily Tennant plays Madison so differently in this compared to what we saw her in that first film, because even though we don't spend all the time in that film with Madison, she's not really even the secondary lead character. She's more like third or fourth in that one. The thing is, we do get to see like her being like the influencers that CW hates, that she is vain, she is vapid, she doesn't really care for anybody else, she's all into herself. And here in the second film, all that's been stripped away. The fact that she's lost her friends, she's lost these relationships. People look at her now, and even though she hasn't been charged, they think that she is the one behind all of CW's crimes. She's lost any of that upbeat happiness that we've seen her have in that first film. and she now has to play it completely different, and Emily Tennant is able to make Madison look completely different from the way that we've seen her in that first film. That's some truly great evolution here for the character, and it does allow Emily Tennant to really give us a different performance than what she would have already been doing in the first place. This is absolutely her Cassandra Naud's film, and they do a fantastic job, whether they're playing antagonists to each other or the slight chance to where they kind of have aligned interest as well too.
AI also plays a big role in the film, as well as CW uses it quite a bit throughout the film, both to cope with her own mental well-being as well as to help up with her charade. And this seems like it's a way of Harder pointing out the dangers of AI being utilized in today's world, as CW again is utilizing it to keep her own sanity together, but she's also showing off like the reasons that a lot of people out in the real world are using it for their own nefarious reasons as well too. So love Harder's commentary on that as well. I'm not an AI fan myself, so it's good to see a little bit of talking about that.
And that really leads to what I hope we get from this film. I need a third movie. I really need a third movie. This movie, I don't believe, ends on a definitive note that wouldn't allow us to see that. Like, yeah, CW's world comes crashing down around her throughout this entire film. We get to see her go on a complete killing spree, which is one of the funniest and one of the most shocking sequences of this franchise thus far. But it also really sets up these ideas here that CW was already hanging on by a thread as it was. With even more stripped away, she's just going to go absolutely bonkers. And I would wonder what her as a serial killer looks like if it really resembles the last bits of influencers. Like, if she's going off the deep end, does that mean that the way she conducts herself and carries herself out and starts to become more deadly? Does she speed up her timeline with these potential victims? I need a third film in order to see that, because my interest is still piqued, and it looks like the critical reception of this is just as good, if not better, for that first film. So clearly there is an interest in seeing this story continue on and seeing where CW ultimately goes. There was a funny suggestion from some folks that I watched the film with, that we could be exploring a relationship eventually between CW and Madison. And it's hard not to really think that that is a legit possibility here, because Madison at this point is the only person who truly knows who CW is and what she's about. And regardless of the fact that CW has tried to kill her, again, somebody that she can be her complete, open, and honest self with. Madison is kind of a reformed influencer at that, so their pairing would make it fairly interesting and actually give us something maybe to root for both of these characters. Because let's not forget, Madison is still a suspect for all of CW's murders. CW just showing up in this footage is instantly going to make her a suspect as well, so you never know in a third film where the two of them could be on the run and have to end up teaming up if they're both ultimately going to make it alive, right? So who knows? But folks, what I will ultimately say on this one here is that I enjoyed this film just as much as I did with that first movie. I think, again, Cassandra Naud puts in a tremendous villainous performance here that's just as good as it was in that first film. I love the fact that Curtis David Harder was able to give us a great romantic film in the first part of this movie before turning it into what we kind of expect from CW and just this genre just in general. This is strong and was a good way to end out 2025 for me. So Influencers ultimately gets a 4 out of 5 stars from me. This is one you definitely want to go and check out. It is available right now for you on Shudder along with that first movie. Please go check them both out and let me know in the comment section what you thought. Am I crazy saying that Cassandra Naud put in one of the best performances that we've seen in years? Let me know if you agree with that. Tell me what you're thinking here about this franchise, y'all. And of course, make sure to get subscribed to my channel, as that's the best way to stay on top of all the horror content I'm dropping for all of you. This week I put out reviews for Anaconda, for Dracula, and next week we're jumping back into some TV. We're gonna have more Creep tapes, we're gonna have more Welcome to Derry, and I'm gonna be dropping my interview with Sherry Rose from Tales from the Crypt. So I got a lot of great stuff coming up for y'all here over the next week. Get subscribed. Linktree is the easiest way to do it at linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. That's gonna do it for me tonight though, y'all. I appreciate you tuning in. My name is T. We're talking scary movies. Stay scared.